Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. We are live in Park City, of course, supporting our favorite nonprofits and community events we want to make sure that you are aware of and engaged in part of the discussion. A brand new organization to the landscape is Connect, and I am thrilled to sit down with one of their founders, Ed Rutan. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. So to start off with especially newer nonprofits in the community, I always like to give our viewers just sort of a summary overview of your role.
Well, we were formed about a year ago. My wife and I were two of the 7 co-founders, and we had been dealing with the mental illness of our younger son, who at that point was 33. He had just been diagnosed with mental illness, and we were having a terrible time trying to find mental health services in Summit County. It was taking an awful lot of our time. It was obviously a stressful situation, and the other co-founders were really sort of in the same situation. We came together because of all the difficulties we were having. We wanted to try and find ways to help other people who were in a similar situation.
Who were going through it and wouldn't have to go through the challenges and struggles, and learn from your successes, learn from some of the failures that you had along the way.
Yeah, it's always going to be stressful. It's never going to be easy when someone in your family is struggling with a mental illness, but we wanted to try and help.
But you could ease that burden by at least making the road to support a little bit more clear.
Exactly, and that's what we've tried to do. One of the ways that we've done that is we have a directory of mental health resources that are available in Summit County that's on our website, www.connectsummitcounty.org. And that's one quick way of trying to get the lay of the land in terms of what is available in Summit County.
So the founding of Connect, the catalyst was really you wanting to support fellow parents, fellow families that were going through similar struggles, but the timing was perfect because the discussion of mental health and wellness in Summit County was really starting to come to the surface.
You're exactly right. I like to say it was a perfect storm in a good sense. You had a lot of community people who were concerned, but just as important, the health department was recognizing that more needed to be done with mental health. The Summit County Council. Well, no, we weren't ahead of the curve. As I say, it was a perfect storm.
Yeah.
It was all happening at the same time. You had both the county council and the city council recognize that more needed to be done, and just as important, all 3 school boards recognized that something needed to be done. So the reason that we've been able to move ahead over the last the last year or so, is that we really have the community as a whole recognizing that something needs to be done.
And I love that you pointed out that the school districts and systems are really getting involved, because people are recognizing this is something that starts at a very young age, and if it's identified early and if the proper support is given, it can have a vastly different outcome.
Absolutely critical to address mental health in the schools.
And so I think too, you know, we had Ollie Wilder from the Park City Community Foundation. He was talking about the $250,000 grant that the Katzes had given. There's obviously a lot of community support behind this. One of the greatest things I think that Connect and Summit County is doing is just by starting to have the conversations in a more public forum and to involve the community is just in itself taking a lot of the stigma away from it.
And that's absolutely critical. The stigma is a really serious problem, and it's a problem really in 2 senses. The most important in a lot of ways is that because of the stigma, people who think they may have a mental health issue are afraid to come forward. They're afraid to seek treatment. And it's so important to try and address a mental health concern early, get it diagnosed, because there are ways to deal with mental health challenges.
And one of the most detrimental things to do with a mental health challenge is to then retreat to even more of an isolated state due to the fear of what people may say or think, or how it will affect family members, all of those things. The last thing they need is any more pressure.
Absolutely. And when someone has been strong enough to come forward and seek help, they've confronted the stigma at that level, they may be doing quite well with their treatment program, but they still need to re-enter the community.
Exactly.
And that's where the stigma comes in the second way. So part of the dialogue that we're hoping to have and are having in the community is just having people get comfortable with the fact that just because you're mentally ill doesn't mean you can't be an important, productive member of the community.
Well, and I think too that realizing how many people that this affects, that I don't really know anybody that can't say that some member of their family or a close friend, that this doesn't touch some aspect of their lives.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And so part of bringing this discussion into the community is this Summit County Mental Health Wellness Seminar. What a fantastic way to engage and include the actual community members that you're trying to affect.
Yes, and again, it's a broad-based community program. We've got a great set of speakers put together, and I'll go through that in a second. So it's certainly an opportunity to learn more about mental health and what's going on to address mental illness in our community. But it's also an opportunity to provide input. An important part of the program is the open forum that'll be about half an hour during the program, because we do need more input on what's going on and what people think we need to do to address the challenge.
Well, what better way than when you're developing a support system and resource for the community than to ask the community what it is you really need.
Yeah.
And what another great opportunity for maybe parents or family members that are a little nervous or unsure about whether this is something that affects them or affects someone that they love, to go into a room that's supportive, that's safe, a lot of Me Too's, and they can find some resources right there.
Yeah. Part of the program, actually the last hour of the program, will be a series of breakout sessions where people can do exactly what you said. We're going to have 5 different sessions. People can only attend one. Or I guess they could go in and out if they chose to.
Pick your favorite.
Pick your favorite, I guess, would be the best way to do it. And the one that I'm moderating is called Personal Stories. There is hope, and there'll be 3 of us there talking about how our families dealt with the fact that one of our family members was living with the challenges of mental illness, and because they were living with mental illness, that meant we were living with mental illness.
Yes.
So we'll talk about the personal aspects of that. So someone who's interested in hearing that could go to that.
Just hearing another
session.
Parent and your experience in itself, you know, with your child.
We'd be, happy to do that and answer questions. We have another session on youth prevention, which is certainly an important concern right now.
Well, and so many times when young people are struggling with mental illness, it can easily translate into self-medicating, into substance abuse.
Exactly.
And that is introducing a whole nother slew of problems into the situation.
And for that breakout session, we'll have people from the school districts, Amber Conley, Shad Sorensen from school districts, Alyssa Mitchell from the health department. We have another breakout session on what can be done from the perspective of the mental health professionals in the community. Beth Armstrong from the People's Health Clinic is going to, Beth does a great job over there, and she's going to be moderating that panel. We have a number of clinicians from other groups, Ellen Silver from Jewish Family Services, Dodie Wilson from Valley Behavioral Health, Chelsea Robinson from the Peace House, Leah Harder from the Christian Center, and Katie Grace McElveen from Open Way Resources.
Well, it sounds like you're really attacking this from all angles, and it's so wonderful to hear about all of the nonprofits in town working together and supporting each other for a common goal. Give us the details of the event for people that are watching and want to make sure they don't miss it.
Well, it starts at 9 o'clock. Okay. It's at the Blair Education and Conference Center at the Park City House. It's gorgeous.
So
what I was thinking as I was coming over here, one thing I want people to know is, because it's in the new wing, there's a separate parking lot. So parking is no problem.
Okay.
Those of us who have had to go over to the hospital, it's not always easy to find a parking place.
Exactly.
But there's a separate parking lot, so it's easy to get there.
There's room for everybody.
Our featured speaker is a man named Leon Evans from San Antonio. A lot of people around the country think that San Antonio is the community that's gotten it right on mental health and substance abuse. And Leon Evans was right in the middle of doing that. He's the one that they hired 16 years ago to fix the system.
To fix it.
And he's done a great job, and he's going to talk to us about
he'll be there to talk about it.
How do you do it? That's going to be followed by a panel called How Does the Community Help? And that's going to be people from various segments of the community talking about what can be done. Corey Levy, who is the wellness manager at Vail Resorts, is on the panel. Vail has a wonderful employee program that does a great job on mental health. They're in the process of introducing that here in Park City. You know, a lot of people don't realize that the business community really has an important role to play in the mental health
Yes, it does.
of their employees. So he'll be one of the panelists. My wife Lynn from Connect,
Little plug for
my wife,
of course.
is on the panel. Katie Wright from the Park City Community Foundation, and Nan Worrell from the Park City City Council. Nan has done a wonderful job working on mental health issues, and that panel is going to be moderated by Ollie Wilder, who was on.
He's been on the program
show,
talking about this as well.
A little while ago. Then we'll have the open forum, which I mentioned, for half an hour, which will be a chance for people to just stand
Just
up
talk,
and say, here's
yes.
what I think, or why aren't you doing this?
Right.
Or
We call
I think
that
it's great that you're
constructive
doing that.
criticism,
Well,
yes.
we're certainly looking for constructive
Support
criticism.
and constructive criticism.
But it's a great opportunity for
Absolutely.
people. We had an earlier community meeting back in February, and quite a few people came, and they stood up and talked about their own personal experiences.
I don't think anything is more powerful than when people share their own personal stories.
And I think what was really rewarding to us at that prior meeting was that people did feel comfortable. You know, the stigma that we just talked
You
about.
created that safe
They
space.
were willing to stand up and say, here's what our experience has been. And we want that same kind of safe space on Friday.
So I know people can go to the Summit County website to RSVP for the event. For people that want to support you and Connect and the work you're doing beyond just this event on Friday, how can they learn more and get in touch?
Well, we have a website, www.connectsummitcounty.org. We have regular meetings. Actually, we're having our monthly meeting tomorrow afternoon at 3:30. We always welcome anyone who wants to join us. We meet at St. Luke's Church over by the Blue Roof on 224. We meet from 3:30 to 5. We've found over the year that we've been an organization that we need to have a firm stopping point at 5 o'clock.
I was going to say, the
because otherwise it'll go on forever. And we've been pretty good.
That's a good sign.
We start at 3:30 and we end at 5. But the public is always welcome to be there. We're a pretty informal organization.
Well, Ed, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all this information with us. It's a fantastic addition to our nonprofit landscape, and congratulations for taking a personal challenge and making it available to so many people.
Could I just take 3 more
Please.
seconds to talk about Mental Health Awareness Month?
Yes,
which is coming up in May. We've just gotten this brochure back from the printer.
Yes.
We've got 20 some events
That's
scheduled.
right. I knew this was coming back from the room.
during
Beth was
the-
on prior. She said
Yeah.
we are scheduling over 20 events to celebrate and acknowledge Mental Health Awareness Month.
And it's pretty broad view. For example, we have one program on the effects of living at altitude. We have a program
It
on
affects
sleep
you.
disorders, food disorders, and then of course we do talk about things like suicide prevention.
So Mental Health Awareness Month is in May. Where can people get the schedule of these events? Is
Well,
it
again,
online?
it's on our website.
Okay.
This brochure will be placed around the community. I just dropped some off at the health department office over at Round Valley the other day. It'll be in the libraries. We're just now in the process of
Of getting
distributing.
it out. And I'm looking at all of the different sponsors, from
Yeah.
Skull Candy
Yeah.
to Summit County to Park City Library to the film series. I mean, it's just amazing to see how many organizations are supporting this work.
And we're just incredibly grateful. The Marriott Daughters Foundation has been a big supporter for us, and we really appreciate their support as well.
Well, congratulations, Ed.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what Connect does in the future. And for all of you who want to be part of the conversation and support the amazing work that's happening right now in our own community, make sure that you get to the event on Friday at the new Park City Hospital. There is parking and space for everybody. RSVP at the Summit County website. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the show and be back with much more. You are watching Park City Television.